Okay, so here we go. This is the 5th Sunday of the month. First time we've had this 5th Sunday since I've launched the new schedule. And you may have heard me say I wouldn't do another video in the van like this. I'm afraid I am doing so. The sound quality may not be great. You'll have noticed I started recording before pulling off, so hopefully safety concerns are allayed. But yes, here we go. It's just a good use of time, really. So I said that I would make the fifth Saturday of each month a kind of catch-up video, a bit more behind the scenes, a bit more insight into the business, what's been going on. So I want to update you on a few things, and they are the state of the workshop move, the planned workshop move, which is very delayed. I want to talk a bit about the Sketchup videos that I restarted. I want to update you a bit on the games table as well, and talk a bit about the podcast. I want to tell you about the business growth program that I was on, that I posted some bits about, that some people have asked how that all went and what that was about, and one or two other things perhaps. So the workshop, the move is delayed because the landlord has decided to re-roof it because it's got an asbestos roof, and he's really a very unusually proactive and engaged landlord who owns a lot of land in the area, but is very hands-on. You see him and you just think he's a labourer. He's always there in his overalls just doing stuff. So we've fallen on our feet really finding him and that place, and he's already been very helpful in making changes that will help set the space up for us with no extra charge. And he just recently decided he might as well get the whole thing re-roofed now rather than possibly have to do it later. And then what happened was he got called up for jury service. So last conversation with him, he wouldn't promise a date. So it's very much up in the air. It's left us a bit in limbo. At first I didn't mind because I thought, okay, we've got the place, we found the place, that's the decision made. We're not paying rent yet. And I thought, well, we've got a bit more time to put some money in the bank, hopefully, without the overheads of the new space. However, in that time, the current workshop feels a bit like it's falling down around our ears. We've had lots of leaks, not helped by the recent storms, and that's meant remaking some parts for jobs that got damaged in the spray area. We've had a few electrical issues, again, possibly to do with the storms, affecting wiring outside in outdoor lights. But we keep having it tripping out, and so generally Brady was getting quite discouraged, and then it's the time of year where there's sickness, and I got sickness, and it's been a pretty hard couple of weeks or so where I've got to run down. Brady's been depressed, and I'm so used to Brady being just solid and getting on with the work. So we both agreed to take some time off. It was half term, so he had a nice little trip away. I took my daughter to York, got a bit of time with her, and I think both came back a little bit fresher. And but we're still waiting for news of when we can actually move into the workshop. So that's where things stand on that front. And let's pull up to this junction, have a little look at my list. So I wanted to talk about the Sketchup video series. It was something that people were asking me for ages, going way back, and then I eventually started it, and then I had a long break, and people would still say, when are you going to do another one? We really love it. And so then I did a third video in the series, and I thought it was interesting to talk about because it didn't get as many views as I thought it would, despite me really plugging it on Instagram. You may have noticed I did a story and I did a post, which I wonder if my mistake was. I got a little bit salesy, and looking back, it wasn't really me, it wasn't really my voice or what people like my channel for. So please give me feedback on that if you saw that, because I think either side of posting that kind of ad about the Sketchup training series, I posted other more normal things that got far more engagement on Instagram. It probably didn't help actually that it just happened to be Valentine's Day, because I normally post ads for my SketchUp videos on the Friday, and it was Valentine's Day, and I wonder if people were less engaged. I don't know, but intriguingly, when I first launched that SketchUp series, after people asking me to do it for some time, it so happened that Andy over at Gosforth Handyman was also very much around the same time launching a SketchUp series, and he did the first one publicly, and then he released a video explaining why he was moving it onto Patreon, his crowdfunding site, and it was to do with the number of views that video got was much less than his typical video. And he was explaining something I wasn't familiar with, which is basically you then start dropping down the rankings in the algorithm on YouTube if you have an unpopular video. So that was part of the reason why he decided to put it for paid subscribers only. And so it was interesting to see that this kind of happened on my most recent video, and also my clever little way of trying to make it worth my while whilst also getting it out there to the maximum number of people was to have downloadable SketchUp components. So you get to watch the video for free, but it's sort of nudging you towards these components that will help you to draw better. And the uptake on those was not at all as good as I thought it might be. So it has raised questions for me about continuing that for free. And I also had someone, I think it was Ben, was it you, Ben, at Thomas Carpentry? Had a chat, didn't we? And you were saying that you think I'm giving away too much for free, and I have been accused of that, and I have wondered it myself. I mean, people certainly question why I give away such a detailed set of blueprints about the alcove cabinets for the cost of a monthly membership, which at time of making this video is £5 a month on Buy Me a Coffee. My rationale was, I want to really win people's trust and really give you value. Sort of, there's this idea of delighting your customers. So I thought, well, I want to help people. I want to really show you that I've got quality content to give, and then hopefully I'll get a certain amount of loyalty, even if there's little patches where I'm a bit busy and my output isn't as much as it might have been. And that's certainly been the case for a few people. But I am slightly asking myself whether the return for the effort at the moment is worth it, but I'm aware it's very much a long-term thing, and it is growing, and it's basically all good, really. It's just sort of learning from these little things along the way, and maybe making little tweaks and adjustments, trying to get that balance of giving you value and interest and things that you want to see, without it becoming burdensome to me and therefore unsustainable because there's not enough of a return. So I'm still working on that balance, but it's generally a pretty healthy upwards curve. So just finishing off on the SketchUp thing, I think we'll probably ease more into little snippety, shorter videos. So I want to continue, because I said I would continue a course for free, but I think perhaps I'll make them a bit more bite-size, and then I think probably I will in future have a members only. Well, I'm not going to promise anything, but at least every now and then bite-sized members only things as well, that are probably going to go into more detail about the business, the sort of thing that people running a business need to do, which is efficiently produce cutting lists, and maybe going a bit deeper into dynamic components. So we'll certainly continue some SketchUp content for free on the second Saturday of the month. Third Saturday of the month, I think. I should know. We'll continue, but it might change slightly. Right, so the games table, an update on that. This is a unique design that I made that I thought there'd be a great market for. And this ties in with the business growth program I was on, called the Y Accelerator, Yorkshire Accelerator. That's what I got onto that program for, because I thought the games table was a good idea. But in the process of doing that it was like a 12-week course, fully funded business advice, seminars. In the process of that, the advisors felt that the market size for this product was not going to make it a viable or profitable business prospect. Like the quantity of potential buyers at a price point that currently looks like it would be profitable for me. Yeah, so that was disappointing, and I concluded I would let go of the project for now, not altogether, because actually my gut and my instinct tells me there's something in it, but I thought I'd take their advice. Well, while we've got so much going on and the workshop move, their advice in the end was, you've got a fantastic business already, so why don't you focus on improving that and getting more of the work that you already get and can make profitable, just about. And around this time, as I think I may have shared on a podcast recently, I was also talking with someone who used to work at Neville Johnson, and he was telling me that they're charging 2 or 3 times as much as me for work of a similar quality. So I concluded I need to up my marketing and price a bit more confidently as we go into getting this new workspace with all the overheads involved. On the Games Table project, before we'd kind of analysed the figures and decided it wasn't worth pressing ahead with now, I was talking a lot with Andy, who was my original customer, who's very connected in the board game world. So I made the first table for him, and then he was always saying, I think there's a market for this. And we recorded a video called Whatever Happened to the Freebird Gaming Table. And then we just sat on it, and I've decided to put it out because I do want the idea to remain out there, and I'm thinking if and when people contact me about it, I will just make them as a one-off. So the idea that I laid down was sort of going into semi-mass production or launching it as perhaps a crowd-funded Kickstarter launch, because I think that would have been unwise, because I didn't really have a handle on the true cost of production at scale, and could well have got into a whole load of trouble if issues came up. And we all know that issues come up in bespoke furniture. And although the idea, the attractive prospect about this freestanding piece was you design it once, make it, sell it, you don't have to fit it. But of course you've got all the risk of shipping and who knows what else. So I thought, well, we need to just make a few one-offs first. So that's where that's at. So the podcast has been very well received, and I've now got 3 other interview format ones pre-recorded. So at time of doing this video, I've only put out the first one with John Jones. I've got 3 pre-recorded. I'm finding it very tempting to put stuff out at a faster rate, but what I want to do in this period where we're waiting for the new workshop is get a load of content in the bag, so that as we get busy and I'm preoccupied with the workshop, it's there just to hit upload on. So do bear with me. I think it's probably sensible that I don't overcommit on the amount of podcast output, so I will stick to at least just the first Saturday of each month will be a podcast. And I am going to start transitioning to that being audio only, just to remove the extra work of editing up the visual side of it. So still open very much to people nominating themselves or others to have a chat on the podcast. The thrust of it is very much it's woodworkers, particularly fitted furniture makers, and we're wanting to get under the skin of their methods, the way they structure their business, and also a bit about them as a person and what motivates them. In future, I've got ideas to bring in others that are maybe interesting and slightly related to the industry, not necessarily woodworkers. So stay tuned and look out for ongoing content, because that's something that I really enjoy, and I'm very motivated to continue. Now, talking about videos like this and the sound quality, I was hopeful that I might get, in my first foray into semi-sponsorship, no, not my first actually, I have had products provided by companies before, but this was the first time I was hopeful I might get a piece of equipment, a mic, a special mic that might have made sound quality better in these recordings, from one of the companies that sometimes shows interest in getting their products on my video, but it hasn't quite worked out. I think it was a bit too much of an ask, and so that also just raises the question around how do you appropriately monetize this kind of work, because I've always been wary of getting into sponsorship or such like, in case it might affect my independence. So yeah, that's a sort of outstanding question, and the channel's still a little on the small side to really push that, but it's something that probably makes sense in future, if we can find a way where everybody wins. I think that's always the goal, isn't it? That I'm still giving content that the subscribers like and feel is genuine, and then if I can give a platform to a company whose products I really believe in, then I'm quite happy to do that if that helps them, and if in return then it helps me to make the whole thing sustainable or keep the lights on, as Peter Millard often says, then it is a win-win. So, well, you know, I think that's about everything I need to cover, isn't it? If you're a member, sorry, I always do this. I always say that's about it, and then I start talking about something else. So I really think this is the last thing. If you're a member, thank you for signing up as a member on buymeacoffee.com/freebird. I do appreciate everybody who's done that. If you haven't received the download link you were meant to receive, do message me. Some people have done that. And I'm always open to feedback about your experience as a member. And I've been mindful recently that the whole thing started as a way for people to voluntarily ensure that the main content on YouTube continues, and then I wanted to offer members a bit more, which is only right. And now I'm navigating that balance of, I feel a certain pressure and obligation to offer more, but could easily overcommit on top of the main schedule. So I am trying to make sure that some extra content every month, something extra, goes out to members. And sometimes I think you'll find it really valuable. Sometimes it'll just be a little bit extra. And we will be resuming the masterclass series as well. But again, I'm not committing to a schedule, because I'm doing my best here. And I think the feedback I get actually from a lot of people is, I more often hear from people worried that I've overcommitted anyway, worried that I'm trying to do too much, than saying, oh, you're not doing enough for my membership fee. So thank you to all those that are supportive in that way. And we have had some people that have signed up, grabbed the free content and unsubscribed, which I fully anticipated, and why not? You're free to do that. But actually those numbers have been less. I would say those numbers have been less than I expected. So we do have a lot of people that seem to be committing to supporting the channel, so thank you for that. I am going to wrap this up now. Comments are always welcome. Certainly always appreciate the people that watch videos like this through to the end. And have a great weekend, and I'll see you next month with a new podcast. Okay, bye for now.